I thought of this question because my history textbook for AP US History goes up to the 2016 election. And I kind of it made me think, will this event be in the textbook when it comes out with a new issue? So, going off of that.
Well, I think if this goes in the history books, then Black Lives Matter and Antifa burning cities probably should also go in there, because they're both kind of a big deal and both really are bad and shouldn't have happened.
I think if the riots, or if the DC riot did go into a history book, then I feel like there would be deeper analysis into why it happened. And as for the Antifa and BLM burning, I'm not so sure about that. I mean, there's been plenty of opposition during Trump's presidency, but BLM and Antifa, those are two like events out of many. But like this specific riot, like the attack on the Capitol, like that would definitely go down in textbook, in history, like, yeah. And sorry.
No, go ahead if you have any.
Yeah, finish your thought if you are ready. If you're finishing your thought, go for it.
There was nothing else.
Okay.
Yeah.
John was going to respond to, not Julie, but no, just kidding. Okay, so, in my opinion, I definitely think it's going to go down in history. I was just taking U.S. history this summer, so, definitely there's a lot of things going on. Black Lives Matter was already in the U.S. history textbook, just as a, something that occurred because people were getting killed. However, it just in response to Black Lives Matter being brought up, I would like to say that I think it would be a little bit unjust for it to go down in history in the same way that the riots in the Capitol will, because the riots in the Capitol were because of, the, unfortunately, to me at least, it seems like lies about the election. And Black Lives Matter is because many innocent people are being murdered. For example, Tamir Rice was 12 years old, shot 6 times in a park before the police officers even finished getting out of the car. And obviously Breonna Taylor shot in her own home, George Floyd. There's countless names. And that sort of people rioting for that, I absolutely disagree with the looting, with the burning. I definitely think that was super duper unnecessary and put a whole bad light on the thing. But I think it would be very unjust if Black Lives Matter went down in history the same way as the riots in DC.
Well, I also took A push, and I really loved that class, and considering what they include in that textbook specifically, maybe I haven't read every A push textbook, but the things that they were including were definitely seem to be kind of in the same vein of what's been happening within the past couple of years. I think that BLM has and will be further covered in textbooks like that, and especially considering the fact that, this riot was kind of the first time that this has happened, and it directly led to the impeachment of Donald Trump Part 2. It'll be included, and I think as time passes and the dust kind of settles, we'll have a lot more insight into the direct effects and what kind of caused it. Maybe we'll have more access into how it was possibly planned, or the people that were directly involved in it, their motivations. It'll be, I don't know if it'll be a huge chapter, but it'll be there.
So how do you think this event will contribute to maybe joining or spreading out further in political polarization in our country?
I think it's just going to make it worse, because this is a group of people on the fringe. These are neo-Nazis. They're wearing shirts. 6 million wasn't enough in the Holocaust. They're building gallows. They're bringing zip ties. This is a group of people who have lived on the edge of their party for so long, and they're making themselves known. They are projecting their message to the world through the news, and people are gonna see that message and recognize that they feel the same way. They also agree that 6 million wasn't enough Jewish people to die in the Holocaust. Or they're going to agree that maybe the election was stolen. And I think that this is going to like really kind of amplify that movement, and it's going to kind of spread. And especially even like on the right side of that, that's what I think is going to happen. And on the left, there's going to be like a visceral reaction, which is already what's happening. He's been impeached. You know, there's going to be people who are going to resist what's happening, making people more upset. And it's just going to snowball. And I don't even know if there's going to be an opportunity for like things to rectify themselves. Like, I don't know if there's any going back.
Yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted you, by the way. I just like to build off that. So, like, I read somewhere not too long ago that on average, Americans have less in common now than we did back in the Civil War. And that's just a scary thought to me. Because if we have less in common now, the more stuff builds up, the more it could lead to something like that happening again, where we have a civil war. And, like, for example, with Donald Trump getting impeached, I think him getting impeached is definitely going to send a lot more Americans over the edge into believing that there is no hope for a fair election and all that, because they just view it as Democrats trying to take power and prevent a man who's very popular from getting back into a position of power. So it's just a real, like, scary thought in a way, just to think we don't have as much in common anymore, and this is probably not going to help it in any way.